This is Bryan Cranston, and this is one of the most racist programs on television. This is one of the most racist programs the story takes place in New Orleans, right? And there's certain things that don't make sense. You hear a person wheezing on the phone, the person who's wheezing is the one that's trying to talk to the 911 operator. Right. The gangsters find a broken inhaler at the scene of the crime, and for some reason, the Irish guy that's supposed to be the muscle for the gangster that lives in New Orleans didn't put two and two together, and they blame it on a little black kid who is picked up driving a said to be stolen vehicle, but in actuality, Bryan Cranston's character, which is, what's his name?
Michael DeSada.
Judge Michael DeSada.
Right.
His son hits a kid.
His son is Adam.
Yeah, Adam DeSada. His son, honoring his going down to where his mother was found murdered, down in, it looks like it's the 9th Ward.
Right.
He goes down there placing a picture of her and placing some flowers, and some black dudes and some black chicks come up and say, well, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And he all of a sudden, he starts to run, like, why are you down the way if you can't talk to the people that are down the way? He starts wheezing, gets into his car, he starts wheezing. He drops
He's having an asthma attack.
He drops his inhaler down.
Right.
Now let's go back. The gangster in this story, who is
played by Michael Stahlberg.
His name is
Tommy.
He gives his son a vintage motorbike. His 17-year-old son, for his 17th birthday, he gives him a vintage motorbike.
Right.
So his son is riding the vintage motorbike. Cranston's character's son is driving his mother's car down in the 9th Ward, placing a flower and a picture of his mother, which, as he circles back, has been just broke up and destroyed. Like, you couldn't talk to the black people down there. You're automatically right then, you're racist. You're supposed to say, look, my mother died down here and I was coming to put a memorial down. You know how everybody puts down a teddy bear
all over the
flowers
world,
and they put well wishes down when I'm coming here to do this, right? Come to find out in the story, we're going to give some spoilers. Come to find out in the story, his mother was down there cheating. We don't know who she was cheating with, but she was down there in the 9th Ward cheating with somebody, right? Whore, right? So all of this happens. All of this is happening, and it all revolves around women's poor decisions. But the men make poor decisions because they're off of following what the women do. Okay, so instead of him being able to talk, he's not able to talk. So he's like,
based on the women's decisions.
Well, we're getting there. I'm gonna prove my thesis here. Smash the share button, smash the like button. So he's wheezing. So he comes back around, but then there's a black SUV, not SUV, a black truck that starts following him.
Right.
And he's like, and he drops his inhaler. Meanwhile, the little dude on the motorbike is coming across. He's bending down for his inhaler. He smacks dude with the car.
The gangster son.
With the car.
Right.
And he crashes. He has to stop because there's something underneath his car, a piece of the motorbike, right? And so he has to stop, but he's like, so he's getting out and he's trying to get to his inhaler, and so he inhales once, and then he goes over there to the guy, and he was trying to help him, but he died, so he's calling 911. So they have the copy of the 911 tape. I'm jumping around. So they're thinking that that's the son wheezing, when really the person knew that the person who was on the phone was the person that was trying to make the 911 call. If she knew that, how come you didn't know that? And the inhaler is right there by the dead son's side, still there where the dead son was, because they had scooped his body up, the coroner's office. It's down there, and they hear this, and they don't put two together at the end. Meanwhile, Cranston does everything to get on the case to try to derail the case, because the wife of the gangster played by
Hope Davis.
Gina Baxter, right? It's the Baxter gangster family, right? So she decides to get her son released to come to the funeral and put in the same general population, the same gen pop as the little black dude who they picked up, saying that he did the murder, when actually it's your honor, son. See, it's a double play on that word, on that phrase, your honor. You know, you go to court and say, yes, your honor. But then it's also saying to him, you're putting your honor on the line. Right? So they go through all this, and he gets on the case, and he does everything he can to torpedo the case so that the gangster dude can get off. Meanwhile, at the end of it, they find out, this is spoiler because you don't need to really see this, because it's an insult to the people's mind, to your intelligence. At the end of the film, they see the son out there on his inhaler, and then they listen to the tape and they say, oh, it's the son that actually did it.
At the end of the show.
Meanwhile, the little black kid is murdered. His mother and his 3 other siblings, his one sibling walking home from the store, sees the house blow up.
With his family inside.
Done by the Baxter family gangsters. Right? So there's a baseball involved, and he gets the money for the baseball. And he doesn't have real value of money. This is the little kid. What's his name? What's the little kid's name? His brother is killed by, they don't have him up there.
Yes, the kid's name the character is Eugene Jones, played by Benjamin Flores Jr.
Benjamin Flores Jr. plays this part, right? He plays this part. He is the through line that keeps all this together, right?
Yeah.
Because you know at the end that once he finds out what's going on, it's going to be something. And sure enough, it's something. So he takes the money for a baseball that was given to him, and he takes it and he gives all the money to a guy to get a piece. So he gets him a snub nose silver 38, and he goes. Cranston is trying to get in because the gangsters have discovered that it's actually his son who did it. So even though he gets the gangster son off, what's the gangster son's name?
Let's see.
See up there?
Okay, Carlo Baxter, played by Jimmy Stanton.
Okay, so Carlo Baxter, right? He gets him off, but he says, but his son, what's his son's name?
His son, who was like, him and his father are the worst, Adam, decides to play by Hunter Dohan.
Right?
Right.
His son falls in love with the gangster's daughter.
So that's Fia Baxter, played by Lily Kay.
That's right. He falls in love, so he's going around the family in the end, and the gangster lets Cranston know that your son is here, and we know that he actually did it, and we're gonna do him in. So Cranston can't get to the car, but usually he's a runner, so he had to run all the way down to downtown
To his hotel.
to the
Baxter's hotel.
to the Fat Tuesday district. That's what I'm gonna call it. And the security at the door has been said not to let him in, so he's there. I got to get in and see my son. So he's wrestling around with security. Little black dude gets inside. So to cut to the chase, little black dude takes the gun. He's aiming at the Baxter gangster dude because he noticed that he killed his brother in the cell, like smashed his head. His brother comes out and collapsed as the security
16-year-old innocent brother.
All he wanted to do was go in there and tell him that he didn't do it.
Right.
That he was set up, right? He was told to get the car, but this is after the fact, right? So he aims at him, and you know, my grandmother always said, aim where you think the animal is going to be, not where the animal is, because the animal will hear the shot and move. Now, this is not the logic that they were using for this, but that's the type of logic you have to use. You shoot where you think the animal is going to be. If you think he's going to dart left, shoot left a little bit, and then you'll catch him. Ding! Or if you think he's going to dart right, you shoot him and he's going to ding! You're going to catch him, right? The mother comes up, the gangster son's mother comes up, and then he hugs her as dude is pulling the trigger. As he pulls the trigger, he hits Your Honor's son in the neck. Your Honor's son, Your Honor gets in. Your Honor sees his son, and indirectly he gets the right person. But it is a racist fest from beginning to end. It is something, I don't know where Bryan Cranston even played this. Even though there is justice enacted at the end, it is a bad situation for all people black.
Once you see this, there is a line of people who their lives have been destroyed, all based on this judge who is supposed to be an honorable judge, who has a reputation for being an honorable judge. Instead of being honorable and making his son stand up to the crime he committed, right? He's covering it up. He's covering up his son's crime. And in the midst of this, he's destroying other people's lives, throwing them under the bus, throwing them under the bus, throwing them under the bus throughout the whole damn show. And you're getting pissed and you're getting frustrated to the very end. And I'm like, this is the worst ever. I'm like, okay, so it's got to turn out better. It's got to turn out better. So you're going through all of these episodes. And then at the very end, the youngest child, the only living child, because again,
mother gone,
his siblings, his older brother who was 16, you know, who was murdered, you know, a whole family blown up, and literally a bomb, right? In their home, you know, and he sees this as a child coming home from the store, and he sees his family's home blown up with his family inside of it. This is a kid, right? So everybody around him, they've been lying to him. Even the so-called people in the community who were supposed to be protecting him also knew that his brother was set up.
They're the ones who set him up.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's just, it's just
so he couldn't trust the black ones. He couldn't trust the white ones.
He couldn't trust nobody.
He couldn't trust nobody. And so he got the gun. He did what he had to do.
Right.
But indirectly, he got the person who
it was only one person who could trust, but she was blindsided too.
She was blindsided too.
Right.
Right. So, cinematography on this, I give it a 10. It's cinematography. It's a hard storyline to swallow. It's not a hard storyline to swallow, but it's frustrating because each episode they leave you with a cliffhanger, and you're like, what? This shit is moving so slow to where it's like, you like, what? And so the storyline is a 10. The character development, letting you know that this person who is an honorable judge when times are good. See, it's that old adage. It's not what your character is when times are good.
Right.
It's what your character is when times go sour, when it goes bad. And his character was nothing when times went bad. And so that's what this story really shows you, because he was real honorable. He would help the black community, certain people get a second chance to make something because he could see that it was a railroad or whatever from police. But when it came time to protect his son,
he started railroad.
He showed that he was the same racist. So character development and character arc in this film is a 10. The through line, I said that already, I believe, but I'll say it again. The through line is a 10. Now, the stereotypical tropes in this, where black people have no agency, where there are black people trading sides, black people who are gullible and who are used to execute this and don't discover what's happening until later. That makes that a 4. That's a 4, right? The tropes, right? The racism in this is just racist. It brings it down to a 1, and I give Bryan Cranston and Your Honor, I give it. What do you give?
Okay, so out of all of the episodes, my favorite episode was the finale.
Yeah, it was.
So how do you review, like what type of score do I give it, where, I mean, it's like the best episode is the last episode. That's not good. So I'm going with the same number you gave it, because it's just like, you know, I'm watching it because of the, I'm like, okay, this is a diverse cast, right?
Thought it was going to be something different.
Right.
But the blacks in this had no agency. Not even the ones who are supposedly politically connected. No agency whatsoever in this piece. I mean, it is one of the worst pieces of trash on television today. Like,
it was only 2 that was worth, I mean, like, the attorney who once her eyes, once she started putting the pieces together, but that's at the end. That's
but
the
she couldn't get him.
She had
no
power.
She had no power.
She had no
no
power.
agency.
Right. And so the child, he took it upon himself.
But he wanted to shoot the gangster who beat his brother,
right person.
But he ended up getting the right person who was the initiator. But he doesn't know that. So he's gonna be on the run, thinking he killed the judge's son.
Right.
But he's actually the one who caused it, but he wanted to get the gangster.
Right. And which he still, I mean, he still needs to get the gangster because
I think he dropped the gun.
Yeah, he did.
He dropped the gun, so his prints are on the gun, so he's gonna go away. His whole family wiped away. His brother, who was brave, who went to the jail cell, that wanted to talk to the dude, to talk to him, but he was a beast and an animal, and he couldn't listen to what the black guy was saying because he was racist. Beat his head in, beat him to death, crushed his skull from the inside, from banging it on the wall. Just some of the just racist shit ever. It's a 0. It's not even worth having the zeitgeist or the psychological damage of even watching it, because it's such trash.